Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Abrazo Football Podcast. Brooks and Blaine in the house, as per usual, repping the Blaugrana today. You see both of us, we got our Barcelona shirts on. No bias at all. The B is for ballin', okay? Listen, Brooks, I feel like the industry has been quiet recently in regards to the scandal that's going on over in Catalonia. You know what I'm talking about? There's allegedly there is a a vice president over a refereeing committee who has been receiving payments in excess of $1.5 million from Barcelona from the early 2000s until the late 2010s. I feel like we need to talk about this because nobody else is, right? That people are quiet. Like I've seen a few
Yeah,
people
it's really
talk about it, but
quiet.
it's mostly swept under the rug. And it might be mostly swept under the rug because at this point in time, it's not really a sporting issue. It's just a revelation to the sporting world, but it's more of a legal issue with that vice president and the refereeing and the Spanish government, but it could potentially have some sporting ramifications. So for those of you that don't know, I think I just said it. Barcelona had been paying I forget the gentleman's name. I think his last name's like Negreira or something like
Yeah,
that.
Jose Enriquez Negreira. Jose Enrique Negreira. Yeah, so yeah.
So they had been paying him to consult them. He was, an ex-referee. They had been paying him to consult them about, I guess, new rules, how to get calls, how to not get calls, just referee nuance and hijinks from about 2003 up until I want to say around like 2018ish, maybe right around that time.
Yeah, 2016 through 2018, but the prior president Bartomeu says no, it's been happening since before I was here in like
Ex-
2003, before
ex-
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I guess what the problem is that person didn't, pay taxes or he didn't disclose how he was getting this $1.5 million in his paperwork, so the Spanish government got mad. But now the sporting world is saying, well, hold on, wait a minute. This guy was the vice president of refereeing for a period of time where you were paying his business, you know, a portion of that $1.5 million. So, Brooks, I mean, I don't really want to talk about like the legal ramifications. Like, if a referee doesn't want to pay his taxes in Spain, like that has
Yeah.
nothing to do with Barcelona. Like, this happens
Yeah.
every day. Like, shout out to Shakira. Okay, that's not what we're here to talk about. My question is should Barcelona be getting side eyes because they were paying a referee or an ex referee from 2003, let's just say up to 2016, and then a vice president on the Spanish refereeing committee from 2016 to 18, and while they were still paying him or his company? Should they be judged for that? Is this foul play? Is this a big deal? Like, what are your
I mean,
thoughts?
initially you think so. Like I hadn't even, I mean, I live here. I hadn't heard anything about it until you texted me. I was like, what is this thing you're talking about? So I had to look it up, and this and that. But the reality is every team, or at least every big club, pays refs or pays a company the same thing that Barcelona was paying for. It is kind of like I don't know if you said it on camera or off, but basically what's the word?
Consultant?
Services for consultant. Yeah, basically it's like a refereeing consultant. It's like essentially it breaks down to like I mean every single year we know that there's a new adjustment to whether it's offsides or hand or ball or a
So many
foul or
rules.
whatever.
Yeah, they
You
need
can't
to be
keep up with
interpreted.
it.
Yeah, and even if you do, you need it to be interpreted for like the normal man. I don't know what it means to be, like clear and obvious. What does clear and obvious mean?
Clear and obvious, or like a scoring part that can score a goal. Like, can't your whole entire body except your hands score a goal? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So these guys are there to come in and be like, yo, this, let me just break it down. It's like this, and this, so that they can, then disseminate that information further down the chain, because that's a lot to have to waste your time on, is trying to figure out all these rules and then not understanding or getting upset when you think that you've been wronged, where in reality the new rule change has been as stated otherwise or whatever. So they're paying for those types of services and fees, and Real Madrid even admits to paying for those as well. So no, like they shouldn't be getting the side eye. And I think that you bring up a good point. Like, we don't want to talk about the real issue at hand, which I guess is that this former referee Negreira, he has not been paying his taxes on that money that came from Barca, which makes it look even more shady because it's like, well, if this was just, some regular consulting money that you get every year from Barca or every other, other clubs,
Mm-hmm.
why weren't you disclosing it? Why were you keeping it such a secret? So I
Yeah.
think that's kind of where the big issue, like you said, lies. But so, I mean, I don't think it should raise any eyebrows. Like what this man does with his money is really up to him and the government because we know that the government of Spain will find out that you aren't paying the taxes. We've seen it with Ronaldo, we've seen it with Messi, we've seen it with Shakira, we've seen it with Piqué, we see it with, I mean,
Nobody's exempt.
nobody is exempt. Doesn't matter who you. Obviously, you're Messi. You're not exempt. So they were both. They weren't. I mean, this is a sidetrack. But weren't Ronaldo and Messi both sentenced to like prison? But they ended up
Two.
paying,
Yeah.
their way out of
Yeah.
it.
And it was less than 2 years, so they didn't actually have to do time served either.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a great place to live as far as like the social, social economic side of things. Things are many things are paid for, including medical costs. But at that rate, the taxes are high, and people try to get around them. And you know, I don't know, like one person calls it tax avoidance, the other calls it tax evasion. So who
Yeah.
really knows, what's going I don't really know. It's a sticky situation.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think we're on the same page here. It's like if and Joan Laporta and Bartomeu, they all say, yeah, this has happened. They're not denying it. They're like, oh yeah, like that guy, yeah,
Yeah.
like we pay him. As a matter of fact, we've been paying him for the better part of 2 decades. Like
Yeah.
here's the paperwork. Like it's the contrary. Like here's the paperwork. Like we've been paying him this whole time. What's the problem? Like any elite club has a ref consultant. Ours just happened to go back to work, but like actually like the consultant is not really him, it's his son. And like if you look at him that he was the vice president, like watch the tape, like there's no preferential treatment to Barcelona. I mean, it just sucks though, right? Because like I for my part, I believe them. Like I feel like I'm a pretty straight shooter with this kind of stuff, and have fairly good judgment. This doesn't seem like Barcelona's trying to pull the wool over everyone's eyes or they're doing a scam. They paid for a service, they used the service, they got no real preferential treatment because that's what they're doing. And it's just
That's the
like,
big key, right?
yeah. And it's like, like they, like if this was like, if there was like a egregious situations where it's like, oh yeah, like that they gave like a penalty to them or like this, or like they were like NBA ref, NBA fine, like Sacramento, LA, Los Angeles Lakers game 6 type egregious calls from the Western Conference final in the 90s. Like that would be something to look at. Like, oh, like that's a big deal. But it's like they're not getting any preferential treatment. Like they suffered through some of those years also. Like they weren't always at the top of their game. So I feel like,
Yeah.
the optics from the public are gonna be like, oh yeah, it's like Barcelona, or like all the
Yeah.
jokes where it's like
Yeah.
UEFA
Yeah.
alone, like they had the refs in their pocket. But like let's be really honest, like $1.5 million is not enough for a referee to, I mean, I guess for this guy
To call
technically
a
it's
game.
to call a game. Yeah,
A
it's
game, let
not.
alone a season after season.
Yeah, it's like that's a drop in the bucket. Like no one's risking their life. No professional referee is risking their career for that kind of money. Point
For
blank.
half a million a year.
For half a million a year. Like if it
Yeah.
came out that they paid like 50 million over the course of 20 years, okay,
Yeah.
now I'm looking at them different, but like 1.5, like bro, that's nothing. That's nothing
Yeah.
in that industry. It's like it's not even like, and I honestly don't know if that was just like from like, was it 500K for the 3 years that he was the vice
Just
president?
for
And
those, yeah, 16, 17, 18, which was when he wasn't invoicing them. And like to your point, he was the vice president of the technical committee of referee. He wasn't even a ref. Like he was a ref 20 years ago.
yeah,
And now he's just the
exactly.
vice president of
Yeah.
this committee.
So yeah, I mean, I'd go as far as to say is like, yeah, like it would like on the onset. Okay, like if you look at it big picture,
That's like a breaking news. Yeah.
yeah, it looks bad. But then once you
Yeah.
get into it and you realize what this guy was doing, how the business was actually conducted, it's like, yeah, like I mean, he probably has as much leeway like he has as much pull when he was a retired ref to go tell a guy to make a call as he
Yeah.
did when he's the vice president of whatever he was. It's like it's mostly, in my opinion, nothing at all. And it's
Yeah.
not, yeah. So, I mean, the guy, like, the legal aspect, like, he might be in hot water with the Spanish government, but from a sporting aspect and giving
Totally.
Barcelona an advantage or an unfair advantage, like, there was an advantage. That's why they're paying him for his advice and his know how. But, like, on the field to get calls, nah, that's nonsense. They've done, like,
Yeah.
Barcelona's clear. And maybe that's why no one's talking about it because they're like, yeah, this is like nothing at all and it's not even worth their to talk about, but I feel like it's good to talk about it because people might hear and think like, oh, like they're trying to hide something, they're trying to do this. Like from our perspective, Brooks, like yeah, we think there's nothing here and Barcelona is for once not
Yeah,
doing
for once they're
shady.
not in the wrong.
Yeah, they're not being shady.
They're not shady. What I will say is most of the papers, like when you told me about it and I looked it up, granted it was on the Athletic, but most of the papers here are Madrid-based papers, being like, I saw one of these things when we were talking about it, it was like they paid him, in the 3 years on average, it was around 500,000 euros, and then they were like, to contrast that, like the king of Spain, prime minister, whatever, gets paid 90,000. I'm like, dude, come on, like,
Yeah, that's yeah.
why is this even? What do you?
Now, how much is Real Madrid paying for their consultants, right?
Come seriously, yeah. I
Probably
mean,
a
I'm sure we
similar
could even
fee.
look that up right now and find names and companies and payment receipts, unless their person is not filing the taxes for it either or invoicing it. But that is what looks shady. I mean, for any business, like let's, if we owned a bit, well, we do own a business, let's say that we just never, we were like, oh, we didn't, I don't know, sell X amount of thing. It's just weird. Like, why? Like, what's the point? What are you trying to hide? Why are you doing that? It shows here that this place has X amount of your stuff. Why did you not show that was a legitimate business purchase or whatever? So yeah, it's just like it's shady, but that shouldn't fall on the hands or the shoulders of Barcelona. That's
They got all their
the
paperwork.
president right now,
Yeah,
Laporta, is talking about, yeah, like it's timing. Look at this. Look at the optics of this. Like they're just doing this on purpose right
yeah.
now to
It's a
us.
smear.
We're on the up and up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's sad,
Okay. Well,
but it's sport.
all right then. Well, guys, you heard it here first, man. Barcelona is clear. They are good to go. Shout out to the Blaugrana. I mean, I guess we gotta also shed a tear. They got knocked out of the UEFA Europa League. But they're
Yeah.
still
Do you
top of the.
keep or do you not keep
Huh?
Xavi after that?
And
Being
I'm
top of the
team.
league, like you said, but getting
I'm team
bumped
Xavi,
out.
man. I'm team
Oh,
Xavi, man.
yeah.
I ain't Xavi. Throw your X's up. I'm team Xavi all the way. I like Xavi, and I'm a big fan of Xavi. Give him some more time. Like who else you gonna bring in? Like it's over. Let him like if he doesn't win the league, sure, maybe it's time to talk. But like let him win the
Like if he
league,
lets it slip, yeah.
and the boys, like you know what I mean. The boys weren't playing for him. The twins.
That's even Dembele wasn't playing, right? He's
He's still
injured.
injured.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. Man U's also red hot right now. So it's like there could
Yeah, they're
only
on
like I
fire.
feel like in those games, it's like they didn't get dogged. It's not like they got like embarrassed. They just didn't win. It was a good game. Only one team could win. This time Man U won. Like I feel like this isn't like losing like 4-0 to like Espanol in the Copa del Rey. Like this is like
Yeah.
you played another like Barcelona's up here. Man, let's be honest. Like let's not hate. Man U is playing terrific right now. They are
Yeah.
just as good as Barcelona. It's a flip of the coin who goes through. It didn't go your way. You
Yeah.
can't fire a guy like it's like like it's like but it was like a battle like I just feel like you can't fire a guy for losing to Man U the way he lost. It's not like they got blown out. There was nothing embarrassing. Like you didn't leave that game feeling like, man, like we suck.
Yeah.
It's just like, yo, they got us this time. Like they got us. Well, I guess they got us both times because it was 2-2 at home. Then you went to Old Trafford
Yeah.
and what was it? What was it? 1-0 or 2-1? I can't remember.
2-1.
I think it was 2-1. That's good football.
Maybe
It is
even
what it
three,
is.
wasn't it? Yeah, 2-1. I mean, all I know is that in the league, I think they've given up like 4 goals. In Europa League, they've given up, or in Europe, they've given up like 14. So it's like, yeah, that doesn't look good either. But again, the kids weren't playing. Dembele was out. I feel like there was another injury that I don't remember, but I could be wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, Man U, like you said, Man U is on fire. Um, Even though Rashford didn't score, that whole team is just finally clicking, and Anthony scored, which I did not like seeing, but
Bruh, I know you didn't. Yeah. So my but
yeah,
my opinion on the situation is let
I
him
agree.
stay. Like at least if you want him out, like if you want him out because you're saying, okay, fine, they're leaking goals in Europe. He doesn't know how to coach in Europe. He knows how to win in Europe, but he doesn't know how to coach a winning team in Europe. At least let him finish the season and get his title, right? That bus around the Plaza de Catalunya. Let him get his flowers and then let him go in June. Bring in a new manager 1st of July. Give him the whole if that's the way you want to go, but don't
Yeah.
sack him mid-season when he's on the cusp of lifting a title with the team that he loves. I don't want to. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
want.
I think you got to stick with him anyway. Let's do this long term.
Yeah,
I'm into
don't.
it. I'm
Yeah,
into long
like
term right
yeah,
now.
I'm into it, and I like man. I can't say enough. Like I'm a big fan of Xavi. I'm a big fan of
Yeah,
Xavi. I don't
I'm with
want
you.
them to let Xavi go. It's like he's
Yeah.
give him another season. I know you guys hurting financially. I know that. I know you Laporta. I know you're stressed out right now. But firing Xavi ain't gonna change nothing. It
That's
ain't
only
gonna
going to
change
hurt
nothing.
because you still got to pay him off.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, all right.
All right.
Anything else, Brooks?
No, but when they come and ride around on the bus, I hope you're here to celebrate it. You gotta book your tickets.
Let's see. Maybe that would be April, right? May. Is it April or May?
I don't know if it extended at all because of the World Cup, so maybe May.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see what we can do. We need a
Oh,
vacation.
maybe April.
We need a
Yeah,
vacation.
okay.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for hanging out with us over here on the Abrazo Football Podcast. We appreciate you. We love you, and we'll see you next week. Peace.